Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, elephants and zebras, gypsies and the sheep. I'm going to show you what we kind of had for dinner. Oh, okay. These are homemade donuts. I have never made donuts before. So, the two on top are dusted with confectioner's sugar, aka powdered sugar. One on the bottom is, I think that's the brown sugar, and then I've also made some with cinnamon sugar. And like I said, I've never made donuts before. I always thought they would be too difficult to make. These are not, how do I say, these are non-yeast donuts. Non-yeast. Yes, yeast donuts might and probably will be in our future, but not right now. It's 11:38. I'm not going to start making more donuts. I don't know if you heard my wife. She said, "Yeah, we got to start making some more donuts." We both liked them. For me, when I fry something, that's the only thing I dislike about donuts, or dislike about frying things, is the fact they're fried. You know, that's not really good for you, especially with me. I have heart issues, and I'm sure we would both be better off if neither one of us ate fried food. But they're donuts, people. Okay? They're donuts. I don't think you're going to stop anybody from eating donuts. I don't care how, if you triple fry them or fry them a million times, people will still eat them. But like I said, it's brown sugar, cinnamon sugar, and powdered sugar. So we made 3. I will share the recipe with you. Now, I messed up. I was hungry. I was hungry. When you're hungry, you feel weak, you get confused, So, I was supposed to add, I think, 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of flour, I think it was 2 cups of flour. Instead, I added 2 cups of sugar. You put the shortening, what was it, the shortening and the egg, baking soda, there was something else, and then you cream that, and then you add the flour, and then we don't have a donut cutter, so what I did is I took a glass. See, this glass has water in it, agua, so I'll use this. Pretend this is a glass or a cup or whatever, and I made flat. It says I think 1/3 of an inch. I didn't measure it. I just kind of flattened it out to about yay big, and then I took a cup and I just twisted the cup in there. And then I took like the cap from like a milk jug. That's why you should always save a little of this and a little of that. Took a cap from a milk jug, and I twisted that in the middle. Got a donut. I don't know how many it made, maybe 15, maybe a little more than that, about 15. No, maybe not that much. 10 or 15, between 10 and 15, I think. But we liked them. Hopefully next time they'll be even better. You know, that's the thing about cooking is you learn and you learn and you learn. You never stop learning. My mom was from the South, and my wife's family is also from actually my wife is from the South. I'm from the South, but in a very strange way, because I'm from southern Spain, southern Okinawa, southeast Texas, southeast Texas, and South Texas. And I have lived in Virginia, but I usually don't count that. And So Southerners, especially Southerners that grew up in like our parents' generation, boy oh boy do they know how to cook. My mother didn't need a cookbook. She just knew how to cook. It doesn't mean she never used one. She did sometimes use one. Actually, I could show you. I have a Chinese cookbook she used, but she basically knew the recipes. So the cookbook was used as a reference. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just do things without a recipe, and other times I use recipes. But whenever I use a recipe, I know I shouldn't do this, but whenever I use a recipe, I never follow it exactly. I think I'm a good enough cook at this point so that I don't need to follow it exactly. Now, that's being said, sometimes I have to keep refocusing this for some reason. Sometimes a dish is just not going to turn out. So what you have to do is you have to go back and you have to make sure you did it the right way, because sometimes, you know, and like I said, I don't follow them exactly, so if it doesn't turn out, it's on my shoulders, it's my fault. But I guess I have enough of an idea of how much is too much and how much is not enough of an ingredient. I can't use them because I can't read anything right now. But let me tell you something. Reading glasses, they help, but it's not the same as prescription lenses. And my wife had her eyes checked. She needs new glasses. Both of us had our eyes checked this week. We both need new glasses. And so I can't really use the cookbooks because I can't see anything. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is we have an entire bookshelf back there. You can see the top corner of it. I don't know if you can see the top corner of it. Now I'm going to have to refocus. That right there is just cookbooks, except what's on top aren't cookbooks. When I had the clean out, I got rid of some cookbooks I shouldn't have gotten rid of. So some of those I need to replace. If you didn't hear her, she said, "No, we don't." I was thinking I was going to get one of the grandkids. I think it's the same cookbook I had as a boy. It's I think Betty Crocker Cookbook for Boys and Girls, or Betty Crocker Cookbook for Girls and Boys, or whatever. I think that's the one I had, and I loved it. I mean, I started cooking from a young age, and before that I would watch my mother cook. Again, she was a great cook. She wasn't a good cook. She was a great cook. So I guess I learned a lot from her. And another thing, and this goes out to everybody, especially younger people, people who are single for the first time, people who are single after many, many years, etc., etc. What was I going to say about that? Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to experiment. If that's yes, you will waste food. I wouldn't consider it a waste, so it's not actually a waste of food. Some food is going to have to be thrown out, but you learned a lesson. I've learned a lot of lessons that way. I've learned a lot from other people when it comes to cooking. I've probably learned far more from other people than I have from cookbooks and doing things on my own. One subject I don't really know anything about is the science of cooking, chemistry of cooking, and I wish I did know about that kind of stuff. There are a few books out there like that. I have at least a couple. I know I have one. I used to have two. Hopefully I still have at least two. But knowing portions, proportions, ratios, what ingredients do and do not do, how they act and react to one another. Because there's some things you can put two things together and nothing's going to happen. Other times you put two ingredients together and you're not going to like what happens. What is it? Vinegar and baking soda? That's how you start a volcano. So I always wanted to make one of those in elementary school. I never did. But anyway, so you just have to keep working at it. Like I have at least one video on making flour tortillas. I think I may have one on corn tortillas. And the thing is, you just have to keep experimenting. For instance, that flour tortilla recipe, I didn't just find it. It didn't just show up one day. I've tried other recipes. And that particular recipe is the one I happen to like and I've used for a long time now. My wife sadly passed away a few years ago. That's the recipe I used for us. Now I use it for my new wife. I don't want my wife getting sick like my other wife did. I don't want to see her go through that, that's for sure. But anyway, I learned a lot from Carolyn. I learned a lot about cooking and things like I don't know how or why, but I could make something way too spicy even for me, and I like spicy food. Although my taste buds aren't what they were, say, 10 years ago when I was still in Texas and I ate spicy food, 3 meals a day plus snacks. Because you don't get that up here. You just don't. And one thing spicy food helps to do is to cool you down. It's not exactly what you want up here, at least spring, winter, and fall. You don't want that because it gets to minus 20. We've had it down to minus 40 up here. The thing is, in the summertime, it hits the century mark. We were 99 the other day. I think for several days we were 99. And with the humidity, the factor is probably over 100. Let's see, Texas, it's 6 months, 9 months, no rain, at least the part of Texas I was in. I mean, East Texas, where I've been, you get more rain out there. Along the coast, you get more rain. But, up here it rains. I like it because I'm so used to there being no rain that I enjoy the rain. We were driving the other day. I don't remember where we were going or coming from. The mountains, the forest, just beautiful. Just, utterly beautiful. The hills, the mountains, the trees, the bushes, the shrubs, the ground covers, everything is beautiful. The rocks, the wildlife. It's amazing. And we have a neighborhood bear too. I say a neighborhood, a town bear. Town bear. Well, actually, the bear has been in our neighborhood, but that was before we moved in. Our neighbor over that way, which doesn't mean anything to anybody watching, they had a bird feeder in their yard, and this here bear comes back up from the holler back there, which is right behind us. It's part of our yard basically, but not coming up behind our house because the bear would have had to have gone up a cliff like that. And so the bear went up a cliff, or went up like that instead of like that. Anyway, it came up, went in our neighbor next door, went in her yard, and then crossed up the street into our other neighbor's yard, and just started eating out of the bird feeder. And then it went back in the woods, and nobody's seen it since then, per se. I mean, people have seen it other parts of town, but not our part of town. And one of the grandsons, he'll eat it. You know, he'll shoot it and eat it. I don't want it. I don't want the meat, but if he does that, I want the pelt. I don't like trapping, though. Trapping, that's cool, because poor animals stuck there and suffering. You know, I don't like hunting all that much either. To me, the only reason I would hunt is if it was an absolute necessity for food. So, but that's me, you know. Everybody's different. And, but, yeah, if the grandson, if he gets a deer, if he gets a bear, whatever, a moose, I'll take the pelt, because I can do stuff with the pelt. Even the antlers, I can do stuff with the antlers. Like, I didn't make this. Where did it go? It was right here. Yeah, see, I can't see because I don't have glasses. Thought it was right here. There it is. That's a button made out of a deer antler. I hear they stink really bad when you cut them. So it's hot and humid. Oh, we had a Slurpee today. We both got a Slurpee today. That was the last of our money, but I was like, we wanted one and we got one. And that's a food issue right there. But yeah, these donuts, you know, you're just gonna have to experiment, and if it doesn't work out, if you make the recipe and it doesn't turn out, don't be too upset about it. It's gonna happen. My mother had a cookbook. I think it was a candy cookbook, and this is, I think, when we lived outside of Houston. And she would try to make things out of the cookbook, and it was a popular title. It was one of those thinner ones, but it was a series, and the other books in the series, they worked out fine, but this particular cookbook, she tried several recipes. None of them worked. She tried them again. None of them worked again. She tried them again, doing things a little differently. It still didn't work, so she got rid of that cookbook. And this, like I said, it was a popular cookbook, and that was before the internet. So, you know, you couldn't find the reviews that you could find now about cookbooks. But I want to learn more on sushi. My wife doesn't want to eat it, but there's sushi that doesn't have fish in it. It's like vegetarian sushi. One of my favorite sushis. One of my favorite sushis. Maybe it's sashimi. I don't know, but it's sushi. I mean, it's rice, and you have the seaweed wrap. But what's inside of it is really thin sliced, like toothpick size cucumber. And I don't remember. I think the cucumber may have been marinated or something like that. I don't remember. But that's my that's one of my two favorite sushis. My other favorite sushi, and I've only found it at one restaurant, and that was in San Antonio. It's a sweet marinated shrimp sushi. The shrimp's not cooked with heat. The shrimp is cooked in like a marinade, and oh, it is so good. But I tried sushi at 2 or 3 or 4 different places in San Antonio, I tried Japanese food at several restaurants in San Antonio, and I only found one that was actually good, and it was authentic because the family was from Japan. One of the waitresses there was from Okinawa. Well, the original owners were from Japan. When they retired, their son, and this is what I remember hearing, their son had been an attorney. But when they retired, he decided he was going to take over the restaurant. So that's what he did. Can you imagine an attorney? Presumably, if you're an attorney, presumably you make good money. But that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to run this here restaurant. And was he a sushi chef? Oh boy, yes, he was a sushi chef. They had the best sushi. But I like to get like the plate, like the sushi sampler. Eel is, sometimes I like eel sushi, sometimes not. It's really greasy though. But you really have to know what you're doing. I mean, I've made sushi, but it's again, that's something you have to do over and over and over and over again to get it to be good. I don't think I even have a sushi rolling mat anymore. I know I have seaweed, but we don't have the right kind of rice. Well, I tell you what, growing up on Okinawa, you're talking about some good rice. I've never come across rice that good in this country, ever. And I've had all sorts of rice over here. Short grain, medium grain, long grain, browns, whites. They used to grow rice in southeast Texas, not far from where I live. A little further toward the coast, but I grew up calling them rice paddies, because that's what we called them on Okinawa. And then you get over here, oh no, they're not rice paddies, they're rice farms, or rice fields. They're rice paddies. Get over it. But anyway, well, I tell you what, that food on Okinawa was so good. We met somebody today whose husband is a Marine, and he was on Okinawa. He said he didn't like it. Although he did say the food was cheap. You go to a stall, a street stall, and you pay a couple of bucks, you get a big old thing of fried rice. Now, that's one of the nice things about Okinawa is it's not purely Okinawan food. It's not purely Japanese food. It's not purely Chinese food. It's definitely not purely American food. It's a blend of all of these. But Okinawa, you have to understand where Okinawa sits. Just south of Japan, north of Taiwan, not far from China, Korea. The trade routes that would have gone through there back in the day. So they had food from everywhere. From Japan, from Korea, from China, from Vietnam, from Indonesia, from Taiwan. They had this food. So they developed their own unique dishes and flavors, and Okinawan food is unbelievably good. My dad took me to a how do you say? It's like a bed and breakfast, but it was Okinawan. It was on one of the islands, one of the smaller islands. I wonder if it was where His Majesty King Shoin was from. I don't know. But anyway, we literally slept on like straw mats on the floor. And what? Oh. And our food, when they brought our food, it was...
You didn't just the trash can, did you?
No, not yet. It was different. It was like a not really a smorgasbord, because it wasn't that much, but it was a lot of food, especially for a little kid.
Where's all the donuts?
Right here.
Oh, I don't want any. I was just wondering if you
Oh. But some of the food were in like a I had to get the vinegar out, and everything came falling out.
I cannot get this up.
I know, I'll get it up.
Okay.
Like a broth, different things in broths, and it was so good. And I'm not a tofu fan, I'm just not, but I have a tofu press. We have a tofu press.
Yeah, but you can put in other stuff and don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
They claim it's good for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I could eat just tofu though, but they claim you can put it in stuff you make.
Uh-huh.
And
It takes the
really
flavor.
good, yeah.
Now, Okinawa, we had peanut tofu, people. Made of peanuts.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good for you.
What?
It's supposed to be really good for you.
Yeah. And we had a bag of soybeans. We had a bag of soybeans, but I had to throw that out. I need to get another bag of that. But peanuts would be really good, because we had peanut tofu on Okinawa. But, and of course, you know, Japan, Okinawa, Korea, coastal China, Taiwan, coastal Vietnam, Indonesia, coastal Australia, lots and lots of seafood. And what else are you going to eat on an island? It's like when people ask about Okinawa, it was an island. You know, I was a little boy. I liked to go swimming. I would get ear infections really easy. That's one reason I lost some of my hearing. I have no hearing in my right ear. I have some loss, minimal, moderate loss in my left ear. I would go swimming. My parents would be saying, "Don't go swimming. You're going to get an ear infection." What do you think I would do? The ocean was a block away, so to speak, and so I'd go swimming. A friend might have one of those kiddie pools. I'd go swimming. The officers club had a swimming pool. I'd go swimming. Before we lived on base, it was even closer and easier to get to the ocean. I'd go swimming. Me and my friends would go swimming. So, you know, I got ear infections a lot. And when I went to my friends' houses, I ate whatever they ate, and you know, before we moved on base, it was Okinawan and Japanese foods and some Chinese food, but mostly Okinawan and Japanese. But this is almost a 30-minute video, and all I wanted to talk about was donuts, and I've started talking about other things, mostly food related. But I don't have any medicine, so my back is killing me now. But because over-the-counter stuff doesn't really help. I mean, sometimes it does. I'd say 20% of the time it does, the rest it doesn't. And when I have my medicine, cannabis, it helps. I don't notice the pain. I would think the pain is still there. I just don't notice it. But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the donuts, or the donut recipe, and my talk today. And I'm going to try and share. Yeah, it's right there. I already have the window open for the flip. Hey, Misty.
Hey, honey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave that open too much. I don't know if it's anything that can hurt the cats under there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Misty, want to say hi? Say, I'm purring. And my name is Misty. And I am so friendly to everybody. Yeah. People, cats, dogs. I am just a nice little girl. And I try to be my lucky boy's friend, but he doesn't quite understand. And he can't see me anymore. And I'm purring away. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy making the donuts.